Welcome back to another episode of the critically acclaimed show that everyone is talking about, everyone that's in the room right now. That's lonely. It's Tech Talk Tuesday. Neil, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. It's 7 o'clock Eastern because that's when we're live.
That's right.
Every Tuesday, where we try to take the latest pseudoscience. Yeah, I don't believe in real science. It's all pseudoscience to me, mostly because I don't understand it. Then we take all the latest tech news and try to place it in digestible bites, kind of like a small Oreo. You'll just, by the handful be eating, and then you go, oh God, did I really eat that entire tray of Oreos? Yeah, you did. But you blame it on the holidays, and come January 1st, you make a resolution and you break that too. I'm projecting.
Just a little.
Well, so without further ado, let's get to it, Neil.
Sounds good. So this isn't necessarily tech related as Matt and I are into with programming and computers and such, but I saw this and I found this very, very interesting. So scientists have actually found a way to turn carbon dioxide, so CO2, into jet fuel, which could definitely lead to net zero emissions for air travel. I find this interesting because I like to travel internationally a lot, which involves flying. And I always feel bad about the waste that I am creating while being transported to my location. But this is very interesting because we have found that it can be very difficult using electrical aircrafts and other ways of trying to get to net zero. But we have now found a technique that we can do this that is inexpensive, uncomplicated, and uses commonplace materials, which are all very, very important blockers to this type of technology. So this is good, but it still has a very, very long way to go. They haven't been able to do this at scale. So like the commercial airliners, like we will still need to do at scale testing and things like that. So this is very early phases, but the researchers that have put a lot of time and effort into this see no reason why that can't happen. They don't see any blockers to making that happen. So this is really, really cool. And yeah, I mean, I really, really look forward to seeing if this can be like the new kind of way forward with air travel. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really think it affects me just because I don't really do anything that pushes carbon dioxide out.
That's right.
Sorry, I was holding my breath. You said this uses some like really pretty simple stuff. I was looking through some of the notes on this. I saw citric acid, which is in a lot of my favorite treats.
That's right. Yeah, so it uses a mix of citric acid, hydrogen, iron, manganese, and potassium as a catalyst to turn the CO2 into a liquid fuel that is actually able to power a jet engine. So yeah, it's really, really neat. Like I said, all of those things are pretty abundant and inexpensive. So yeah, so that's really, really cool. Obviously, like this article says, the lab method only produced a few grams of fuel. So like again, long way to go, but it's still very cool. And it's early phases of this, but yeah, I mean, I think it's really, really neat. So.
That's cool. So I guess my hopes of distilling jet fuel in my garage anytime soon are dashed. But, I can always hold out hope and my breath.
Yes, you can.
Speaking of holding your breath, I'm just kidding. When you're diving, if you're holding your breath, you're doing it wrong. Unless you don't have a mask and you have no scuba gear, and then you're probably saving your life. So in other news, they recovered this the Enigma machine. Like this is like one of the World War II relics. This is really interesting because this is like this was really kind of the heyday of encryption for military purposes, right? So this was for a long time the Enigma code, right, which was used by the Nazis. It was unbreakable, right? People said, "Gosh, I really can't figure out how they're doing this thing." And then you might have heard about this dude, Alan Turing. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I had to look him up. No, I'm just kidding. I love this guy. So he and his crew, they really cracked the code for the UK, and it really turned the tide of the war, right? Because they were able to start intercepting these messages, but they were smart enough not to overreact to all the messages. So they didn't let the Germans know that we have, in fact, cracked your code. So I thought that was really, really cool, right? So for them to find this mechanical device, right, so that is huge. And there's actually a note you'll see at the bottom. It says that's no typewriter. It's really a good point, but I think that's a fair comparison, right? When we think about cryptography, we think about encryption, we think about a lot of these things today. We're very much in the digital age. So we think about using maybe PGP or some other software to use a combination of password biometrics and things like that. This was all mechanical. And that's really kind of what sets this apart as kind of being amazing. And so I thought, man, just for them to find this and to be able to hopefully, right, clean it up. I'm sure just blow on it like you would an old Nintendo cartridge and it'll come right off. It's gonna
That's right.
I don't want to tell the Louvre how to restore their paintings, but I'm pretty sure that technique works. But yeah, I think that's really cool. And I, for one, I would love to see one of these in person. So if this makes its way to a museum, which I assume it will, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I really like this as well, because I remember vividly in college actually writing a program to do the Enigma cipher, and that's a very common thing to do in programming classes. And so yeah, I think this is really neat. I love that this is all mechanical as well. And I was going to say, if you didn't know who Turing was, Matt, I think I was going to just stop the pot or just stop the show right there and just be like, nope, today's done. Sorry guys. I can't do this.
No, I'm kidding. I'm actually just an AI that is, Turing qualified. So I passed the muster, I think, as being, passing the Turing test. I seem lifelike, I think.
Yeah.
Until I glitch. But no, yeah, I think that's no, thanks for having so much faith in me, and your concern is duly noted. Things that are concerning, other than whether or not I know who Alan Turing is. Oh boy, this is a good one, Neil.
Oh, this actually probably made my week when I saw this, because this is just so funny to me. So a lot of large companies will do phishing tests to try and educate their employees, hey, these are attacks that happen. Well, GoDaddy had the brilliant idea around the holidays to say, hey, you're getting a $650 holiday bonus from GoDaddy.
Yay!
But guess what? It was phishing. It was a phishing test that they were running. The crazy thing is that they were just nothing is wrong with this. And I just can't believe that this made it past somebody and that they were okay with that. So this got sent out to 500 employees, promising one-time payouts, just to show your appreciation for a record year at GoDaddy, which is hilarious and sad at the same time, because GoDaddy, yes, has had a record year, but they've also had record layoffs too. So they've been laying people off and then saying they have a record year and then saying, hey, you guys get a holiday bonus because you're the ones left. I know what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make it look real. I know hackers will be using this anyway, but I mean, there are other ways that you can do phishing tests that just don't do this to your employees, right? This is just insane, right?
It is. We were talking about this before the show about I can see something. I could see how this happens, right? People have, I think, the best of intentions and they want to use real world results and scenarios like this. But I was talking about I noticed some comments from Rob Lauer, kind of watching the show. And I would love to see his Facebook post after something like this gone awry with him. I could just see him like going through the roof. And as much as I would laugh and find it humorous, I don't think he would. So I don't think any of us would. And it's not even the amount of money, right? Even though it's dangerously close to the first draft of a stimulus check, it reminds me. I mean, even if it's like a $50, like, you're just going to upset people. And like, that's just a weird thing to play around with. So, yeah, well, I think their reaction, you're right, is the worst part, right?
Yeah, and I think the important thing too is that like when you get this email later that you failed our recent phishing test, and then they tell you like it was this email, you're like, what the heck?
I believe you, Rad. That's awesome, man. Yeah, LN being Live Nation. But yeah, so that's I can't imagine. Like, and again, that's another huge company, right? So I mean, you could definitely see how that would have some kind of massive impact. But oh, GoDaddy, I feel like every year they have to have one thing, right? That just they kind of like stumble on.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of insane, right? Like whether they're getting hacked or doing something stupid like this, like I mean, it just feels like they're always in the news for some reason that's never good.
Yeah, at least they're not having weird pornish commercials anymore. They've left that arena to Hardee's.
That's
although they've stopped that too, I think, right?
Yeah, I think they have.
I'm like, I don't know if I'm hungry for a burger or a special company. So, yeah, special company.
That's where you went.
So what that is. Yeah, so the disappointments just continue. And in this one, wouldn't you know, it's more about Cyberpunk 2077. If you don't know anything about this, it's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to be a gamer. You don't really have to know anything about anything, except that when somebody takes a product to market and they spend years producing this thing and they pump it, and then they're a little bit late, and then they pump it some more and they're a little bit late, and then they finally deliver and they go, ta-da, man, it better be good. And in this case, not so much. If you'll recall, Cyberpunk was released and then pulled from the PlayStation Store, which is alarming and historical, right? Like it's history making, especially for a game so huge to be pulled off the market for truly being so buggy that it couldn't be played. And issuing refunds and things like that. Well, not surprising that there's some investors that are now a little bit irritated and maybe want some of their money back. Good luck. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. What's your take on this, Neil?
I find it very interesting. So, yeah, I mean, the investors are claiming that statements that CD Projekt Red, the creators of Cyberpunk, made were materially false and misleading. Yeah, so it's basically saying because the company failed to mention that the game was basically unplayable on like the current generation of Xbox and PlayStation systems, like they were being very misleading and even releasing it to them and then telling their investors like, yep, we're going to release it and we're ready to release it.
I object to this, Neil, because 2020 is the year of saying whatever you want to and not having to back it up with fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they just need a better Twitter account. You're pushing it, Ray. And
yeah.
Yeah, no, this is that. Yeah, this is really buggy. I mean, there's been things like this. I guess Microsoft's just been lucky that they've been the one bankrolling all the Windows releases so far and haven't had necessarily investors in the sense that these guys did. But yeah, I mean, you got a public company and this is what you got to deal with.
Yeah, and so really what this is saying in legal terms is that they didn't meet their fiduciary duty, which is like a big thing to the investors. Like they have to make, the company has to make choices that they can justify saying we did this with the best of intentions, basically. A lot of other things there, but that's basically explained like I'm 5. So the suit cites the many delays, which there were 3. You missed one pump up of the game there. So that it was delayed 3 different times.
Yeah, that's easy to get lost.
Yeah, it is easy to get lost in all the bugs. Yes. So I mean, the CEOs obviously come out of CD Projekt Red saying like, we definitely underestimated the scale and the complexity of the issues. We didn't know that. We ignored the signals that like this was not going to go well. And it's just like, I know that you're getting pressure from your investors to like release this game because you're already delayed it 3 different times. But I mean, you have to know that like there's no way that the people at the company didn't know that we weren't going to hit this on time, right? Like there's just no way that that's the case. So again, you've already delayed it. I know what that's going to look like to the public, but at the same time, like you can't release a game in this state that only works on PC when you're releasing it on consoles. PS, they only gave reviewers 1 day on consoles to review the game before it came out, which is a huge red flag anyway. I mean, just so many things failed here on CD Projekt Red that it's just like, man, like, like one after another. It's kind of baffling. So
it is, and I'll have you know that as of the time of this recording, no comment back from Keanu Reeves, even though we reached out via an email that I sent to KeanuReeves@gmail.com. I assume that's his email address.
Oh, I thought it was neo@gmail.com.
Well, he transfers. It forwards all his mail.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's definitely it's sad, right? We've all seen and maybe been privy to failed projects and things like that. But man, you're right. This had all the signs and no one really willing to stand up, I think, and just call it what it was. So super sad. You know what else is super sad, Neil?
That this is the end of the show.
Absolutely.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. If you want to read up on any of the articles that Matt and I talked about today, you can find them in the description below. And while you're there, go ahead and give us a follow or subscribe. That way you don't miss any future editions of Tech Talk Tuesday. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to watch us live, talk with us like Rob did today, that's where you can find us. So find us there. And if you want Matt or I to answer any of your questions live on the show, you can find us on Twitter. Matt's handle is the Matt Ray, and mine is @Neil Tardy. So hit either one of us up, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions on the show. With that, we'll see you guys next Tuesday.